Hello everyone, I'm Jamie with Solitude Boulevard, and we're out here right now at our favorite hunting ground getting set up for hunting season. So it's early August right now, and honestly we're a couple weeks late getting into the field, but better late than never, right? So right now is perfect timing to set up your trail cameras, get your tree stands, get everything situated and ready to go for hunting season. But before I get into that and really why it's so crucial to be prepared, get things ready for hunting season, I want to talk about deer in general. And I didn't understand the whole concept of why you do this, why you put all this time into before hunting season until I understood deer in general. So I want to talk about that just high level of throughout the different seasons throughout the year, what deer are doing. The more you understand that, then all of this starts to make sense, and you start preparing and really get a good sense for where the deer are at, gather that information throughout the year, and ultimately leads you to better success during hunting season. So let's talk about the beginning of the year, January through that March timeframe. So that time frame is obviously really cold, and it's right after the breeding season or in the winter, right? Deer are usually hammering the feed, trying to recover from that exhausting time frame. And also at that time frame, they actually shed their antlers. Now, I never knew that deer shed their antlers, and every year, the bucks, the male deer, shed their antlers around that January to March time frame. In that April through June time frame, the does are actually fawning, so that's when they're having their babies. Most of the time, does actually have one fawn, but on occasion you'll see twins, and very rarely you'll see triplets. Within that July to early September timeframe in the summer, that's when deer are regrowing their antlers. That's when nutrition is also crucial. But the most important time of the year for deer is obviously in that end of September into October, all the way to the end of the year. That's when we're talking about breeding season. And that's when hunting is at its best. So as we talked about those different seasons and what's happening to deer, nutrition is pretty important as well. And you can get very technical into this stuff, but ultimately, as you understand what's happening to deer, deer need to eat. Carbs, protein, all that type of stuff is crucial for deer. And when you think of animals in general, there's three main things that are important for them too, right? It's water, it's food, and it's also shelter. So when you think of different areas that have brush, corn, different areas for cover, that's pretty crucial for deer as well, to be comfortable to have their area for shelter. Water nearby, streams and all that is pretty crucial as well. So as you think of these things, think of those three major things that deer need to survive, right? And that'll help you understand where deer are going to be and where deer are at during certain time frames within the year. So like I mentioned, within that January to March time frame, that's when deer are recovering from the rut, but they also shed their antlers. So during that time frame, around that March month, most of the antlers are dropped, and that's where we go into our areas and pick up these sheds. And when we pick up these sheds, this is another piece of information, no different than the trail cameras that I was talking about earlier, to understand your deer herd and know what's in your area, right? So like I said, I had no idea that deer shed every year, but they do. And every year they shed and then they regrow, and based on their nutrition and genetics, actually grow bigger every year. So this is an example of a shed we found. At the base there, that's actually where it attaches to the skull plate of the deer. And within that time frame, like I said, they shed them. So right now is August, and we're setting up our areas for tree stands, cutting limbs, having shooting lanes, just all those little things that are minor details but matter during the time of hunting. So right now, you'll see pictures within our trail cameras that are of deer that have their antlers starting to regrow, but have this sheath around them, which is called velvet. And that's actually a tissue that surrounds the outside of the antlers, provides blood flow to those antlers to allow them to grow. And within that, I want to say first week of September, that velvet sheath actually sheds away and shows that bare bone or that antler. So some fun tidbits about deer and how they shed every year, and how that's another piece of information that we take and learn from so we understand our deer herd in our area. Finding sheds in your area, as well as setting up trail cameras and all of the pre-scouting stuff to to gather that information. All that's important because the more information you have, the more you can use that to really have a strategy when you go out into your hunting season and can ultimately lead to more success.
For more educational content, subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Check out more information, including blog posts and product recommendations at solitudeboulevard.com.